This module is on basics of net worth. What does a net worth mean? I'll just give you a quick few examples. So as we go through the class, when I talk about net worth, you will know what are the pieces that go in there. Okay. So a net worth is a combination of the assets. That is something that we own. An example of asset could be our 401k, could be money in the bank, could be certificate deposits, could be any properties we may have, our house, our land, and so on. And the liability is what we owe, or the debt. That would include your credit cards balance, could be equity loan, could be student loan, could be mortgage. So net worth of a person basically means that if you take all his or her assets and subtract the liabilities, whatever is left over is a person's net worth. So the assets part has got two pieces. One is what is the financial assets, which would mean like your money in the bank, the cash, the CD, certificate deposits, your checking account, your savings account. Any investments you may have would be stocks or bonds, a mutual fund. They could be sitting in a IRA fund or a 401k fund. Those are just basically tax deferred funds, but inside you have stocks, bonds, mutual funds. So those are the investments. So those are the financial assets. The non-financial assets would obviously include assets that we own, but they're not finance assets. That means we just can't go in and then tell whoever let's go sell the stocks or sell the bonds. It's kind of hard to go sell your house or car very, very quickly. So our focus obviously for this class is all about financial assets, but I just want to talk to you about what basically to what a net worth means. Now the liability also has the couple of pieces. One is the short term, that is your credit cards typically, and the long term will be your student loan. That could be 1 year, 5 years. Mortgage could be 15 years, 30 years. Any equity loan could be 5 years, 10 years. So those are the debt that we owe somebody that we subtract from our assets, and that gives us a net worth. So let's say we take a hypothetical person, let's say Judy, and look at her balance sheet. So on the top in the yellow is her financial assets. Let's say she's got about $10,000 in the bank, mostly in a certificate deposit and some savings account. And the reason she has that money in savings account, this would be her emergency fund if she needs it for some reason. Let's say she's got on average checking account about $2,000, and then investments, either a 401k or 403b or some kind of IRA. Let's say she's got $50,000. So total financial asset is combination of all $362,000. A non-financial asset, let's say she's got a house that is worth $300,000, car let's say is worth $10,000. So she has a non-financial asset of $310,000. Her total asset is $372,000. Her liabilities, and she's got a student loan say for $10,000, a mortgage of $150,000, an equity of $50,000. She's got $210,000 of long-term liability, which means they're not due right away. She's slowly paying it off, but they're typically longer term. Credit card, let's say she's got a $2,000 credit card balance that she's, either she pays off every month or whatever, that's her balance. So her total debt is now short-term plus a long-term is $212,000. And so if I subtract that from a total asset of $372,000, she's got a net worth of $160,000. That would be an example of a person's net worth. Now, how does the net worth go up or down? It really depends on what does this person do as far as putting money in or taking it out. So let's say that we have her money that she makes. So, but before we get into it, the goal will always be is to say, okay, how can they go in and improve their financial assets with time by putting more money in, hope that the investments are going to grow. Same time, their goal is to go in and pay down the debt, as soon as they can or whenever they can. So if they increase the financial assets, they lower the long-term debt, obviously that is going to increase their net worth. And that's what happens with adults as they start out after college, and then they have some student loan, and then they borrow money for the house or the car. So for a while, the net worth typically for the first few years is negative, which means that they owe more than they have. And over time, as they save money, as they pay down the debt, their net worth starts to become positive. And over the time, as they grow older, they close to retire, the net worth is very positive. And what you need basically is that the financial assets is what you need to use for short-term needs, like in your checking account and your savings account. And for the longer term, future source of income, which means someday when you retire, you will need that money to support you, or at least support part of your income. Some could come from pension, or some come from Social Security, and then some is going to come from your investments. So this is where that amount of money becomes very, very important in the future. And again, I will have a very detailed conversation on time value of money, where we're going to talk about the calculation and stuff like that. But over here, I just want to talk about concepts of the balance sheet of a person and the net worth. Now, let's say we compare it, and we also include her money she's making. And so this is a hypothetical person. Let's say she makes $7,000 a month, and then she has to pay Social Security and Medicare and state and the federal taxes. Let's say her net income is $4,900. She's diligent. She wants to put money in a 401k. So let's say she puts in minus $420. Her mortgage amount is $1,050. Student loan $687, and some equity loan. Her property tax on the house, and so she's got all kinds of expenses that she's spending. And the red is typically the money that is kind of fixed, which means that she has to pay. Some like the utility and the phone bill may not be quite fixed, but most of them are fixed. Your property taxes, your student loan, your mortgage payments, and so on. Then she may have some, day-to-day expenses, grocery, dry cleaning, eating out, auto, gas, so on. And then, so she has basically about, what I would call $1,475 that would be kind of variable that could change month to month, and about $3,052 in red is at a fixed cost. So that particular month, if she spends what she has to on all her bills, including grocery and dry cleaning, etc., she is going to be left with $373 in positive, which means she will have that money left over that month. Now, what does she do with that money? Well, she's got a couple of options. She can take this $373 and pay down her credit card, which would be the smartest thing to do because they're typically the higher interest. Or she can take it and then maybe put it into a checking account. Whatever she does, overall, this $373 is now helping her balance sheet. Somewhere this $373 will make her net worth be better by $373. Now, how she effectively does it is obviously up to her. The most optimum thing in that case would be is to either go build in your savings account, build your emergency fund if you do not have enough, or if you've got very, very high credit interest rates in the credit card, start to pay that off. Okay. So now let's say, for example, another situation. She has an unexpected major car repair bill that costs $800. Now what happens? Well, because she every month has $373 left over, this time she needs minus $800. So where will she get it from? Well, she's going to get it from a balance sheet. Either she's going to go into her account, be checking or savings, and take it out to pay for it, which would mean that because that is going down, the financial asset and net worth will go down by $427. Or she can use a credit card, which means the credit card balance will go up. Either way, her net worth will go down. So you can see the connection between how we make money, what we do with it, obviously starts to affect our net worth, and I think that's part of the learning concept that we will touch on as we go through the class. Is how do you go in and build your net worth? Okay, so that is the end of this lecture.